The way we find happiness is when we stop putting the happiness in the end goal. When we stop saying, I will be happy when, and start finding joy in the growth or in the progress, we can finally be happy. Welcome back to Happiness in Progress. I'm your host, Danielle Craig. I'm an Emmy Award winner, former journalist, mom, wife, and just a person looking for more joy in the everyday. On this podcast, you'll hear stories of inspiration, overcoming, and perspective that will help you become the best version of you. This podcast is brought to you by the Mail Tribune. Check out mailtribune.com for more podcasts. And if you like listening to Happiness in Progress, please share it with someone you care about. Take a minute to choose a friend and just send over a link. Easy as that. I would really appreciate it if you would do that. Okay. I have talked a lot about the happiness part of Happiness in Progress, but today I want to focus on the progress part. Can we be happy while in the middle of progress when we're trying to improve? One of the things on this podcast I've talked a lot about is the hedonic treadmill. It's basically the idea that we can never be happy because once we have something, we want more, right? Have you been caught up in this? Yes, I have. When I got to college, I just wanted the degree. When I got the degree, I just wanted the job. When I got my first job, I wanted one not in radio, but TV. When I got my first TV job, it wasn't enough. I wanted to be on TV. Once I was on TV, I wanted awards, more opportunity, higher paying job. I couldn't just be happy with what I had in the moment. I can't be happy, or I couldn't be happy until I won that award or lost 20 pounds or bought a bigger house or had another child or got engaged or a promotion, etc., etc., etc. And this is the hedonic treadmill. Each time we gain, we move the set point of our happiness to our next achievement. It doesn't take very long for the new and shiny thing that we needed to have or needed to accomplish to become part of our regular old life. So much so that we now need more to achieve real happiness. At least this is what goes on in our minds. This is what we tell ourselves. Because the next more in this will also, as you probably know, not provide the happiness we're looking for. So you might ask yourself, or even me, okay, Danielle, but then what's the point of goals? How do I say I'm happy with my body, but simultaneously want to lose weight? How can I be happy with work and simultaneously work for a promotion? How do I go through with infertility treatments if I'm trying to be happy where I am? Okay, first off, it's okay. It is okay to accomplish more. It's okay to have goals and want more for your life. You deserve that. It's more than okay to want a better job, a bigger house, and more money. The key is, though, to find the joy while you're in the middle of trying to accomplish those goals, because it's really important to know that you're not going to suddenly reach an endpoint of a goal and achieve some great level of happiness. The key is to move the joy away from acquiring the goal or getting to that endpoint and seeking it out now in the process. The key to happiness is not in achieving, it's in the growth it takes to get there. This is not built in for me. This is definitely a practice for me. I remember when I was a little girl sitting in math class, I had a question about how the teacher got the answer. Once I asked the question, he went into a long explanation of why the answer was the answer. And I remember being this tiny little girl thinking, no, I don't care why. I don't care why math works. I just care about that you got the answer. I don't care about the process. I just care about how to get the answer, not why it works. This is really the same thing, not caring about the progress, but just wanting the answer or the end point. Tony Robbins says the secret to happiness is progress. I recently read an article on CNBC where Tony Robbins said, quote, I always tell people if you want to know the secret to happiness, I can give it to you in one word, progress. Progress equals happiness, end quote. Right there, when I was reading that, I had this aha moment. The way we find happiness is when we stop putting the happiness in the end goal. When we stop saying, I will be happy when, and start finding joy in the growth or in the progress, we can finally be happy. So how do we move from waiting to feel the joy until the moment we're on the stage accepting the award or looking at the number we want on the scale or accepting a job promotion or closing on a house? How can we start finding the joy in our progress now? I find that measuring our progress can be a tricky thing. I just read Atomic Habits and loved the example of what progress looks like. James Clear, the author, wrote about an ice cube. So imagine you have this ice cube. The goal is to get it melting. To get there, the temperature needs to be warmer. We all know that. So imagine you start by increasing the temperature. The room right now is really cold. James Clear gives the example of a 25-degree room. So the room starts heating up. Okay, 26 degrees, no change. 27, 28, no movement. 29, 30, 31 degrees. You have clicked up the temperature. How many times is that? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 6 times, and nothing has happened. Imagine you have this ice cube. You'd be like, I have moved the temperature up every single day and nothing is happening. It's been 6 days. And so you quit. Well, you wouldn't find out what would happen the next day. Just 1 more degree, that's all you would have needed. Once you finally get down to 32 degrees, the ice cube starts melting. It was just a 1 degree shift, which was the same thing that had happened 6 times before with what looked like no impact and no progress. James Clear wrote, quote, breakthrough moments are the result of previous actions, end quote. Oh, I love that. Breakthrough moments are the result of previous actions. When we're trying to make progress, but we're measuring the wrong thing, it can feel like we are not experiencing the growth we want to have. In this example, we're measuring the degree shift. Each day, a 1 degree shift, yet no change. Can you imagine how frustrating this would be if you're talking about something like weight loss? I think so many of us have a difficult time finding joy in the progress because we can't see that we are actually making progress. So weight loss, for example, the Mayo Clinic says a healthy amount of weight to lose a week is about 1 pound or 2. Yet we stand on the scale every morning expecting the scale to say something different than it did the day before. Then when it doesn't, our weight loss journey no longer looks like progress and we jump off the wagon. In this scenario, we are not even giving ourselves the opportunity for progress because we jump off before there's even a chance for growth. It's like with the ice cube. If we kept looking at how much progress we were making between 25 and 32 degrees, it would have done us no good to ditch the experiment at 30 degrees or even 31 degrees. Can you imagine saying that? I've increased the temperature by 1 degree on this thing every day this week, and it is not melting at all. Maybe have you said that? Have you said this? I have exercised and eaten well every day this week, and I haven't lost 1 pound. You see how progress is when we put progress in a measure, it can be really difficult to see progress. So in this same book, Atomic Habits, it writes about Goodhart's Law, saying, quote, if the measure becomes the target, it ceases to be a good measure, end quote. If you wanted to lose weight or get healthy, move faster, or even just look different, but somewhere along the way, your weight loss journey became about the number on the scale, that means you have fallen victim to Goodhart's Law. Weight wasn't meant to be the target. It was meant as just one metric to measure your progress of weight loss. If instead of showing you how you're doing, it's making you feel worthless, then that is not a good measure. It is no longer your goal to feel good when you are beating yourself up over a number that you told yourself was more important than it actually is. You may step on a scale and see a number that you hate to see, yet another woman is working so hard to see. Or I think about a number that I would want to see on the scale, how another woman stands on the scale and beats herself up over that same number. I'm not sure, again, that this is a good measure. An important part of Goodhart's Law is that when we make a measure the target, we typically cut corners to get there. So if you decide you need to close a certain number of deals a month at work, all of a sudden, the metric of measuring how well you did at work becomes the target. So you're now going to cut a few corners here and there. You might make a little less money per deal, but you're closing the deals. So you're not actually accomplishing what you want, to make money. You're just closing deals. On social media, if you're trying to gain followers, yet the measure of how many followers you have makes you feel behind and like you can't do it, you choose to cut corners. You've created a target of having followers. You cut corners and you start purchasing followers. You now have more followers, but they're not engaged with you. Once the measure becomes the target, it is no longer effective. The most popular way to understand the concept of this, and he writes about it in Atomic Habits, is with standardized tests. We have those because it measures our kids' understanding of English, math, science. But the problem is, and we all know this, when the measure becomes the target and our teachers start teaching for the test, when they do that, the children are no longer learning the skills they need. They are learning skills to answer questions on a test. We don't want that. Okay, so what do we do instead? I have 3 ideas. 1, if your measure is not working for you, okay, how do I know if my measure is not working for me? If it's making you feel terrible and you are only focused on the measure, you need a new measure. Okay, weight loss. Take measurements. Take a photo every 10 days. Write down how strong you feel. Take note of how your endurance has changed. Increasing sales. Track the number of calls you made or the leads you have in a day. Social media. Track your engagement instead of your followers. Okay, next option. Track systems. I love this idea. When you track systems, you can make sure that you're really focusing on the process or the progress. So when you're trying to lose weight, create a tracker that you can mark each time you drink enough water or exercise or skip sugar, etc., etc., etc. If you want to save money, use your tracker to mark down each day you didn't spend frivolous dollars. If you're wanting to run a 5K, track each day you put your running shoes on and move outside. When you track systems, don't expect perfection, but I loved this. James Clear's advice was, do not skip 2 days in a row. Then also there's Jerry Seinfeld. He's talked a lot about how he has a goal of writing a joke every single day. It doesn't have to be an earth-shattering joke or a joke he's going to even share, but it has to be a joke. He says, don't break the chain. So that means even if it's not his best, he's going for it because he is determined not to break the chain. By tracking this, you can see your progress. It's much easier to be happy with your improvement when you can see that you are actually improving. You are actually putting in real effort. Okay, last step, go back to your why. I find no matter what it is that you're trying to accomplish, your why is what will keep you moving. Write why you want to increase sales or get a promotion or live in a bigger house. Write these whys down. This will also help you decide if you really need to have that specific goal. If you find yourself writing why you need a bigger house and the only thing that comes to mind is because you want to impress your friends or because your friends have a bigger house, then maybe you don't need a bigger house right now. If you sit down and write you need a bigger house because of your growing family, or you want a home gym, or you want to put in a home office, or you wish your kitchen were bigger, then you can look at that list every time you lack the motivation to move in the direction of progress. I have created a habit tracker for you. Just head to daniellecraig.com and sign up for the newsletter, and that will go out on Sunday. Next up on Happiness in Progress, an awesome guest who has mastered the art of connection. Next week, you'll learn how to make meaningful connections in your life. It's a really fun interview. I hope you subscribe now so you don't miss it. And I want to thank you for being here on Happiness in Progress.